Hello, 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 Nick. It's February 24th, 2025, Monday after the unconventional with Judy Brooks and fellow practitioners. And wearing the glasses because it's about 4 a.m. and I just feel like it'd be better to block out a little more blue light first. And because it's not for anyone else, right? It's a reminder. This is for me, to me, by me. And I happen to be posting it publicly because it's important as a practice. I really appreciate that from Eric Godsey and sending them a lot of love as they are doing their final Fit for Service Summit with Aubrey and Vailana. That's officially together. I'm sure he'll be a guest in other things at future ones. And grateful that I'm here, grateful that I chose to stay as part of the unconventional because there's a part of me that wanted to reschedule and go for the quote unquote bigger thing. And instead was like, stick with this commitment, there's something here. And there really is. It was magical. I don't speak about that. So I spent Saturday, drove up, it was just a little over 24 hours. Saturday I had my Ohana breath and then closed up, drove up, I spent time with family, drove up, and then jumped in a wood-fired sauna, received some amazing grass-fed beef, so that should be enough for a few months, and then had a podcast. So this is my second podcast then, and yeah, it was pretty good too. Talk about that. And then got to see a year plan and some more direct conversations, which is great. And then got there yesterday morning, and it was great to actually just be in the presence of a wonderful yoga instructor, Maeve, and her kind of gentle movement and breath and guided meditation. And then was there for Ariel and her active movement, breath practice. It was a bit of a almost active yoga, dance, breath, everything else. It reminded me how important that is, and that's probably part of what Brent and Matt can bring into the XX camp is like, let's bring a little bit more movement and aliveness into it. It's important to break up those moments of deep introspection with at least some movement. Even the wood chopping, like that's a great thing to do. Chop some wood, right? Chop some wood. Bring some shoes that you can chop wood with. A thought. Why not? Right, if we're going to play around with kendo sticks and all that stuff, why not actually chop some real wood and have so much of it, like so much of it. We want to have enough that, like, oh, we're overflowing in chopped wood. And then remind myself it's going to be a little bit tight probably. It's going to be a different environment. It's going to be a teepee-like environment, and how to be with whatever it is, but have a bigger version of it for sure. Yeah, ideally with not just slope sides, but raised slope sides. Anyways, this is a Brent thing to contemplate. And that's for me, it's like asking for exactly what I want and letting someone else to execute it. And getting the help to execute it. And that was a reminder for me too, as much as I love doing this, not everyone loves me doing that. And taking a look at where I stand. Part of me wants to really step into the Dr. John Demartini way, which is delegate everything that I don't want to do. Part of me resists being more like some of my other teachers before. It's like, do everything. And I don't think there's a right answer, but there's a familiar one. The more familiar one is being handy with many things. And there is a plus to that. Now's the time to make the mistakes, right? The longer you go without doing it at all, the more mistakes that you're unwilling to make usually. And I am tired. I am tired. It was a busy weekend and I was debating whether to get up. I got up initially at 2 something to feed Bao Bao, our cat. And then I wasn't really falling asleep. I was debating getting up and putting on some yoga nidra or some headphones and stuff like that. I thought, you know what, let's actually go do some work. Let's actually go reflect. And then remembering the dreams, we were in this mall trying to find a place to feed our, it was funny, I think it was like my father-in-law, my beloved, her sister, and our son. And somehow the server kidnapped our son. And I would never have thought that possible, but it's like we turned away for a couple moments, got distracted by something, and then realized he was gone. And then we went to this garbage dump and saw that all the uniforms had been discarded. And that's when I woke up. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? It's a reminder for me that anything is possible. There's a part of me that just automatically, I like to say automatically trusts people. I think it's more of a pattern. And part of what I can practice doing is actually taking a look and seeing people and making a choice. Not right or wrong, not later on going, oh, I made the wrong choice, but actually making a choice. Trust, not trust. And then see if there is a validation point later on, and what might I learn from the choice I made regardless. It's the same thing with every piece of handiwork or something else like that. For me, it's like taking a look going, is this something I really want to do? Because if it is, then even if it's handiwork, let's do it. Like, let's build that repertoire a little bit. And if it's really not, then getting the support to say, okay, what by when? What do you want by when? Because I can get it done. I can get the support to get it done. And sometimes I do abdicate the throne because I'm just like, all right, you don't want me to bring in this person, you don't want me to bring in this person, so what am I going to do? And so right now, hopefully our dear friend Francis is going to come over soon, which we didn't expect. But even outside of that, it's taking a look and saying, okay, now that we've established that you want some things done, let's take a look at timelines. And most likely, right now, my default is I'm going to get support. I don't have a deep desire to do these things. I have a deep desire for us to get stuff done. I have a deep desire that things are simpler and easier and more present. And part of it could even be because I know my brother's into the woodworking. It's funny. Like, it's almost I want to go run in the opposite directions. And then it's funny hearing those things and getting poked and then remembering, I'm like, okay, where is my genius? My genius definitely was many of the things I did in the 24 hours I was away. Driving isn't bad. I don't need to keep driving, and it would be great to have some support, but I can still drive right now. I enjoyed it. I just spent 2 hours just talking to myself, which is great. Great for the mirror work there too. And then when I got there, I jumped into the sauna right away. There's a wood-fired sauna that my friend had. Oh, so nice. Got to meet one of his friends and just get right to it, just drop in, and just looking at this man who lives in Whistler, lived through his whole life, has built it up. And it's just hearing that it went from this sleepy town to this giant, sprawling, super expensive resort, and how that changes the environment. And I don't even think of that, like, there won't be locals like him in a couple decades. And what does that do to a community? Because people are just coming and going, as opposed to actually wanting to live there. Like, if anywhere, they could benefit in a way from a vacancy tax, but if they did that, everything would change and there'd be so much resistance. It's hard to see how to put policies in place that really serve. And it's even for me, I want to have multiple places around the world. and how to put policies in place that are going to serve so that I'm not just taking up more space. All right, let's get out of that, because that's not something I need to deal with, and it's funny how my mind can get sidetracked by that. I want to get to the channeling, please. So I'm going to jump there right now, because after the breath, I met an actor who, when I said, it must be hard putting on all the mask, and I said this because I deducted a lot of things. I'd read that before, and I saw the process they went through during the breath, and it looked like they were releasing a lot. It looked like it was challenging. And then she said to me, she's like, acting isn't putting on a mask. It's such a common misconception. Acting is channeling. And I was like, tell me more. I have not seen and heard this perspective. This is my school of unlearning for the day, because I'm unlearning a pattern that I've been taught. Acting is putting on a mask. And it's a lot of the ways that's what we're taught in school. That's what I'm taught in books. That's what I'm taught watching something. And she was like, no, acting is channeling. Like, you're literally channeling almost another being. Like, you're really embodying it. And when it rings true, there's almost a point where it's like, you don't even know what just happened. And people around you are like, oh, that was a great scene. That was a great scene. You're like, what? Well, I guess it was then. And I could see that because it's the same. There's similar veins. Like, for me, when I'm running the breath and I'm really into it, it's like channeling, because I'm not trying to think, where do I need to be? What do I need to say? What do I have to deliberately change to tweak this modality? Rather, let's just be in it, and let's keep learning from being in it. And it's a bit of both, like doing the prep work outside of it, doing the preparing, the planning helps to add to the layers of the tools that I have. And very much so for me, part of the magic that I enjoy is I let go when I'm in it. It's like that whole idea of training and then letting go. And it's part of me doing this. Right? This is my training. Over and over again, it's like, oh, okay, follow that excitement. That excitement, so I want to talk about this channeling piece. It's like, oh, that was such a cool thing. And then she reminded me, was like, everyone's a channeler. I'm like, yes. And she's like, I met some really, like, you know, the capital C channelers. And part of me would love to meet some of them too, and to be in their presence and to see what's there. I imagine just being around them can help me tune into my own channel better. I think that's the part of the remembrance, is that being around other people who are really gifted in a certain modality automatically gifts me. And I have not paid attention to, not paid attention to when I'm in the presence of gifted, handy people, because there's a part of me that automatically says, I'm not going to be doing this. And part of it is awesome because I don't need to distract myself, and part of it is avoidance. So there's both. Let's not pretend. Yeah, there's parts like, if I'm not good at it, then no one will ever ask me to do it. And it can be okay to be good at lots of things too. It doesn't mean I always have to do it. That is a good point. And it really did help during the RV days. I did get better at all these things because I realized shit hits the fan. It is up to me in that moment. So taking us back, so sauna, chatting, Whistler, and then came inside and met my dear friend Liam, and we got to chat and catch up, and then received some amazing grass-fed meat from him from his girlfriend's ranch, and so grateful for that. Put it in the cooler. It was still frozen when we got home, so good for me to know. Cooler, completely frozen stuff is going to stay frozen. Awesome. And then saw my friend's wife, and it was really good catching up, and I asked about losing a parent and what it's like going back to the home now, because I know that's been happening. And let's change that euphemism, having a parent die. Because I am contemplating that reality more, and it's not that I'm rushing that reality. Rather, I want to see what's there and to see what lessons are there. Those are the things that I want to learn, because that matters to me. I'm getting better at actually spending time with my folks, which is good. I'm learning about myself. I'm learning about who I am and how I interact with the world. And then I stepped into the podcast with my dear friend. And it's funny because I had the wisdom to have said it a few times out loud, even though I wasn't sure, to receive some feedback. He's interested as well and excited. And then as the moment came, I realized I almost was avoiding it. And because I had already planned it, set up the groundwork, it was inevitable. I was like, oh, I can notice myself avoiding it, versus if I hadn't told anyone, then I probably would have. And that's probably similar to me and even volunteering for Fit for Service, something else. It's not telling enough people that I am actually going to feel like I am held responsible. And then as I'm telling people, am I getting more excited to do some stuff, even until the crux point of actually doing it? And in this case, I probably was and wasn't. It's like, oh, I don't want to, because what if they reject me? So there's multiple reasons, but to notice that. So there's a process that works better for me, especially for doing new things that are uncomfortable. Same thing now with cleaning, decluttering. Same thing now with the naturopath stuff. Same thing with the taxes. So it's actually saying it enough times that I'm going to do the uncomfortable thing. All right. So the podcast is really good. I recognized and remembered and am reminded that I'm a pretty darn good host. And in the future, what I'll probably do is start off the podcast looking at the camera, especially if I only have one camera. These mics work brilliantly, I think. And then say, hey, we're going to chat. This is going to be a great conversation. We're going to focus on each other after this initial part where I'm looking at the camera, looking at you and saying, hey, welcome to our podcast. Glad you're here with us. Soul Dr. Nick, we're still clarifying what our focus is, if there is one for this podcast. And having said that, we're not going to stop doing it just because we're not quite sure what the focus is, because that is the least important thing right now versus actually getting some reps under the belt. And reps under the belt are calls and conversations with really good people. And these conversations will inspire, elevate, clarify, all the things in between. And I want to have these conversations because I'm curious. I'm curious about others. I'm curious about their stories even. And in this case, I was curious about my friend and just hearing about his origin story, how he was such a rambunctious child, how moving affected his life, how he was part of the family business, took over the family business, had to take a sabbatical. And that's one of the key pieces for me. I was like taking an 8-month sabbatical from a very high role. Like he was probably running CEO of the company with his sister. And that was the best thing. Kids were 8 and 10 and they traveled to New Zealand and then Asia and just were able to, he told a story of how him and his daughter, like she was going up the mountain with him and it was just so great. And then both her and her brother learned how to navigate directions, bus schedules, all that stuff. And it's reminded me, that's what I want. I want to go with, and part of it is actually even probably supporting my beloved to start understanding and reading the schedules as well. Like having both of them do it at the same time probably. Or have her do it with them. And it's navigating that and how to navigate a city, because that's going to be important. And then having the certainty when he came back to be like, okay, I need to turn the ship around of the company in his own eyes, and then trust himself enough to buy things out to really invest in this business. And then also recognizing he was stressing himself out. Like it's both and. Such an interesting project. putting the time, effort, energy into doing the thing and having the certainty to do it. What else is there? And noticing the old wounds that are there, like the old wounds of being constrained, not want to be constrained. Freedom. I can see that freedom is such a big thing. He spent his life constrained and missing out on some parties because he was almost too much. And then the whole idea of wanting everyone to like how much is people pleasing and how much is innate true desire, and how can they get clouded between the two? Because sometimes the people pleasing, I'd rather please the person that's easier to please than to try to please the one. No, please don't do the thing that may be more challenging for me, that I could say, oh, I'm just people pleasing again. So just noticing all these little nuances, especially when I hear him say the impact he can have on his kids and his parents and all that stuff. So, step one. Okay. Then we looked at his year plan. He has a calendar with his whole year, and I really enjoyed that. It's like, how do you plan out a whole year? Okay, that's how you can see it as well. There's just different ways to visualize life. And how often have I done this? How often have I spent visualizing life? I'm glad I'm practicing at least today, looking at the calendar for the week, going, what's there? That's probably important to do. And then taking a look at the master planning for life, that's there too, right? It's making it a regular habit. Today is going to be a wunderbar day. I'm a genius and I apply my wisdom. Wisdom is the instantaneous recognition that crisis is a blessing. Whatever I have done or have not done, I'm worthy of love. Everything's a story. I always have a choice. I feel to heal. The only constant is change. Every day and every way I'm getting stronger and stronger. Getting recognition as well that my pure presence is such a gift, or that loving presence of mine is such a gift. And I appreciate that I can both say thank you for saying it, say I already know it, and as well still acknowledging and saying, because it's really nice to receive this, not because this is what I'm looking for, but because these are anchor points and reminders. And that came from my dear Sister Maeve, another practitioner, a great yoga practitioner. And a reminder for each other that every time we get together, magic happens. And I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful that that is a piece. Facilitating facilitators is one of my favorite things to do. And I'm grateful that I'm letting go of trying to give them an experience. Trying to be seen and get their approval. Because that's not the point of it, and I can see how initially it can feel like the point of it. Yeah. Just remembering my friend's son's friends, and during the pandemic they had this software which was almost better than Zoom in a way. Like, it could create virtual meeting rooms where you could actually jump into small round tables. You can sit down at a chair, and there's some coolness about that. You can sit down in a specific breakout room chair, so to speak, and that allows people to break out differently. And it's a reminder there's so many avenues to add to technology that can better mimic and replicate life. And how might that serve, especially in groups and in conferences and things like that? Let people choose almost their own groups without realizing they're choosing their own groups. Some semblance of control, not just a random breakout roomness. Yeah. So, what else is there? What else is there? I was just thinking of the genders, binary here now, male, female. I can see all the fluidity that can come out without making it right or wrong. And I can see all the confusion that can come out without making it wrong, right or wrong. And because I was just thinking, okay, if you're breaking out yourself, 2 males, 2 females to each table, and it's like, oh man, that's a controversial statement in some ways to make these days. And I'm grateful I'm not the one trying to navigate all that. Again, this is a problem. In my mind right now, I'm like, why do we have these problems? It's a problem. Because I'm like, Jesus, there's so many bigger things to discuss. There's so many bigger things to talk about. So one of the things I've been saying to people is, if you could have figured it out already, you would have. And I realize there's a second piece of that. It may not be that you haven't figured it out. It may be that you figured it out and you're actively denying that it's there, passively denying that it's there, scared of actually implementing it, scared of actually letting people know you figured it out, because then you no longer have that to stand behind. So there's all these layers. But the biggest thing is, if it was already going to be done, it would have been done already. It is not done. So what is in the way? And now we can actually start to break down the yeses and the nos. A yes is not just a yes to the whole thing, and no is not just a no to the whole thing. Where is it that it's a yes, I have the skills that I need. Yes, I figured it out. Yes, I want this. Yes, ... And then no is, I don't know how I'm going to justify it to my partner. Okay, that's what the no actually is. Right? Because it's like, do you have the money? Yes. Do you want to do it? Yes. Do you believe in the power? Yes. Do you have a powerful enough attention? Yes. Do you have anyone who wouldn't want you to spend this money here? Yes. Are you comfortable with doing it anyway? Or talking to them? Yes, no. So it's looking at all those layers, because there's somewhere along the layers. This is the objection piece. But as well, then, if we take a look at it and extrapolate this, everything that's happening, instead of teaching our children, this can't be done, we can teach them, this is something that we haven't solved for yet. We have these giant forest fires right now. We have not solved for it yet. The things that we're doing are obviously not working as well as it could. And if we kept saying that about every single thing that's going on, especially, we've got this depression. Some people are going to say, we haven't solved for that yet. You talk to Tony Robbins, he's like, we just haven't implemented as much of the thing that I know works, which is people coming to my frickin' Unleash the Power Within, because look at these results. Why wouldn't we just say, hey, go to an Unleash the Power Within? There's data here that says it's way more effective than antidepressants. Go to one of those. And yes, there's going to be parts that exclude people, but why not do that? And right now, I'm noticing over and over again, it's just, let's keep doing the same thing, even if we know it has a really low success rate. We've got a 5% chance of extending your life by 1 year. Why would not everything be on the table then that people want to try, want to explore, and then learn from the ones that have done better? And not just be like, oh, what they've done must work. There's something about that unique combination of what they've done, who they are, where they're at, and learning about that. And we often say it's just anecdote, that we've got to make large enough populations. And that is taking away the magic. It's saying that there is some purely materialistic, chemical way that things are changing. And how do we embrace the both and? So that's been a really interesting insight for me. And so for me, even noticing, and there's a few things I'm going to do in private for myself, but where the blocks are. Where is the block for actually clearing out the second bedroom, clearing out the under the stairs? And part of it is, I'm really glad I did that. I hired a dear friend to come and actually go through things one thing at a time. I'm definitely going to hire her again. This is good for me to practice going through, to see what it is that I want to hold on to, what I want to let go, how to put things in their place, have a home for them. Have a home for them. does this home make sense? So I'm enjoying all the ways that it went. I haven't written back to her yet, and that's probably my own block. It's like, oh shit, I found something that actually works, someone I like hanging out with, something that's reasonable cost. All right, where's the block then? The block is me. Cool. All right, I'm glad I've got there. And then noticing every time I do it, I can get a little more tired, a little more cranky. Shit happens. Okay, and is that happening because I'm tired and cranky, or because I'm making shit happen to make this harder to do again in the future? Notice the games that are being played. All of these are games, and that's the thing, is when we're teaching kids that we're just playing games, we're just big kids playing different big games. And we're making up so many rules that we're getting confused. So much complexity that we're getting confused. Keep bringing it back to simplicity. That's the two different ways of wisdom, right? The Ayurvedic way. In some ways it's complex, but it brings it back to simplicity. There's 3 body types, this is the one. And then there's lots of nuance within it. And then these days we're mixing up different modalities, different energies, and that's part of it for me is trusting the person that's doing the mixing. And for me, it's the same thing. I'm mixing up so many different things and trusting myself to bring simplicity into it. My breath is ridiculously simple. Like, that's the thing. People are like, what's your technique? I'm like, breathe. Don't pause. Fully in. Out. And do it for an hour. See what happens. Nothing. Got it. Different container, different guidance, different energy. Many people, group setting, fantastic. Some people, group setting, terrible. Know yourself. Know where you want to be. Still steeping my tea because it's got a cover on, so it's still nice and hot in there, and I can start drinking it. I don't need to yet. So, jumping back and forth, going to bed. So, receiving some messages that were a little bit challenging to be with, and practicing breathing through it, not trying to take it all personally, and remembering I am where I am. The choices that I've made have been made. Let's be with what is, and let's go back and address it when we need to address it. And for now, let's be with it. So that was it. And trying to go to bed was a little bit more challenging. It is different sleeping on my own. Sleeping and falling asleep, especially on my own. I think there's that little boy in me that's like, oh, let's do shit now that I'm free. Like, as if I am free, because there's no one to say, oh, you've got a screen on. There's no one to keep up because I'm up. And I recognize for me right now, these mornings are way more precious than the nighttime continuances. So I'm glad I fell asleep relatively quickly. I was worried my first pillow was a down pillow because I was coughing a little bit more. It's like, it's all good. Just breathe with it. We'll see. We'll figure it out. Woke up the next morning at 4, got up, drank some juice, took my supplementos, and then went back to bed to rest some more because it's like, all right, it's not time yet. Slept for a couple more hours, got up, I was like, okay. I still felt tired and groggy, and I was like, sleeping more right now won't make this better. And I'm glad I remembered that. It's like, otherwise, I would have just stayed in bed. It's like, no, you got an impulse to wake up, get up. Got up, drank some juice, recorded a little video, and then my dear friend got up, dog up, and we started chatting and listened to a little meditation on money. And jumped in the hot tub. Oh, what a good jacuzzi hot tub. Man, it had some powerful jets. And that's just it, knowing how to use the things. So good. And then heading off. Had juice. Headed off to start the day. And was having a great, fun, fast drive. Got to be reminded that going to Whistler on a weekend, even at 8 in the morning, the lineups of the cars, I'm like, fuck no. I do not want to do that. Got there early, settled in, said hello to some people, but just participant. So I'm really, really grateful for these spaces because we get to give really long hugs, and I really love the long hugs and feeling someone's breath and noticing that ability to be with them and that they feel safe to just drop their shoulders. That's probably the piece to remind me. I can feel the hug and then the dropping of the shoulders, like, because that's what we're looking for with our little ones as well when they're actually and that's something I might share with my beloved, that little video I watched, just to remind us, like, just sit with them, sit with the little ones until that drops. And that's what you want to reinforce. Now you recognize that you're safe. Now you recognize it's okay. Like if I tell you here, you're safe, it's like, this is safe. This is safe. Okay. Such attention. Such attention. Such attention. Interesting. It's funny, as there's more play on words that I hear, the more I hear the play on words as I'm speaking. Such attention. Such attention. Such attention. Attention. I'm just going to write that down before I forget, just taking my time. Oh, man. And I'm grateful that I realize this is for me because my brain is working slow. Such attention. And I wrote the other day in my journal about the Bitcoin breath. Yeah. So many cool little ideas. So many cool little ideas. A reward, and creating rewards for people, incentives to actually participate in the breath in the different ways. Now that I am getting more and more clear, once I get more and more clear about the product, how to handle, not how to handle following, we'll actually solve for that. I get more and more clear about the product and delivery. There's more opportunity to say, what interesting ways of implementing this are we willing to try and get supported by? And that's probably what I'm going to do in the nearer future, sometime this year. Sometime this year, I'm going to actually have at least one ridiculous sounding event and seeing how it lands. And I'm not rushing it because there's places that I'm working to clean up right now first, and places that I know that I have, in a way, I'm going to say it this way, 100% control over. You know, my internal landscape and my immediate surroundings, I want to spruce up a little bit. Actually, I want spruced up a little bit, if I'm being honest. I would even love it more if, in some ways, I didn't need to be involved. And it's a practice for me to be involved in the ways that are important to me right now. And yeah, safety and comfort. Recognizing, how do I prioritize the safety of those that are closest to me? And safety doesn't always have to be in the head, logical, rational safety. Rather, actually addressing the things that really want to be addressed. And at least making progression on addressing them, rather than saying that I don't address them at all because I'm not concerned about that at all. So the morning of the unconventional, got to try some of the Moon Magic chocolate, which is fantastic. And then stepping into, what am I stepping into now? I am stepping into the container, and there's this amazing smudge person there, Becky. Oh my God. I'm watching her, I'm like, okay, she has got a way of smudging that I have not seen before or witnessed before. And I look forward to learning some more from her and not trying to replicate her, because that's not what I want to do. It's not my thing. I just want to know enough and understand enough about it. And I would love to have someone as gifted as she is riding the smudge. That's what's really fun. I remember my scent DJ. Love him still. And a whole different level of playing and understanding and trusting self. And trusting self within the medicine space as well. And it's funny because I had the almost idea pop in my head as I was driving. I was like, maybe she's the one I want to ask to hold my own ceremony. So there's a piece there. What's next after that? Then. And then there's a really active breath with Ariel. I can't remember what the company's called, but yeah, like right away it's breathing to the beat of the music. Box breath first, 4, 4, 4, 4, and then 8, 8, 8, 8, and just guiding it to the beat of the music, and then guiding into really pumping the energy of the music, and then guiding to yoga postures and poses and stretches of the music. Great as well for opening up the lungs. Like all of this is actually really excellent. It's just not my style to lead, but I would love to have it led. And how to play a part in that. So that's the reminder as well for like X Camp and other things. It's like, yeah, let's actually have them do some breath that's outside of my breath, that's more activating, and guiding them into this breath. Like perhaps my online breaths eventually will be like little mini ceremonies. Like, all right, we're gonna have like 3 hours, even just 2 hours. Like, okay, for the first 10 minutes, someone else is gonna guide you into some stretches, some movements, some breath. And then I'm gonna do a little talk, and then we're gonna actually do the breath. That actually might be really good. And really inviting for some people, trying things out. So, just thoughts. I love all of these thoughts. And part of it is because it's shifting energies and intensities. And it's good for me not to have try to embody every energy and intensity, because me leading that kind of upbeat energy and then trying to transition into the, okay, now I'm with you. That's sometimes the challenging piece, and that's why any kind of event that I'm leading, how do I actually have parts of it that I'm really not leading? That I'm really not leading. And so I realized, I was like, for myself, I was like, I'm in the prime position for where I want to be. This is where I want their breath to be. People have done some work. They're going to go to lunch. They're going to have some other stuff. They're going to have some light therapy. They're going to have some saunas, which is clearing them up, mind and body, connecting with their soul already. And now let's actually dive in, because I'd like to bring it all together. And it was. And the piece that I forgot is giving a little bit more guidance in the beginning about just the breath and just doing a few breaths together to practice breathing together. And so that definitely I want to improve. And I feel myself getting shorter breath because I feel a little anxious going, oh my God, I just identified some of the stuff that I'm like, I really could have done better. Fuck, I fucked up. And this is the mirror work. This is actually seeing what it is that could have been done differently. The other thing is helping people identify if you're going to be sensitive to the music or the noise, having some earplugs, headphones, something else that's going to help. So having tools for the people that already know that they might get overwhelmed by the loudness of things, because I like the loudness of things at times. And actually having the vibration. Oh man, some good speakers make such a huge difference. Fuck, I love my speaker. It's like, there is no question. I can get this as loud as I fucking want. There's no question I can't have this whole room shaken. And then the dance and the interplay and the asking beforehand too. I could have set the stage more first as well. It wasn't just up to Judy, for the fact that there is physical touch, there is smudging. All of that is great if it's welcomed, and you're always welcome to say no. I really like that I brought in the idea of this is the school of unlearning, and this is a place for choice, and this is safety, and freedom and dreaming. Like I enjoy bringing in those themes, and it can change each time. That's the reminder for me, like one isn't better than the other. Like often we're getting to like, love is the answer. I'm like, yes, and right now, each of us, if we actually had to define love, would say something different. And so love, L-O-V-E, the word is not the answer. Possibly the essence of love when we actually dive into it and actually explore it more, but someone else may have a different word for that essence as well right now. And so sometimes it's almost too simplistic an answer. What is the thing that wants to come alive right now for this group of people in this way? And dreaming was the word that came from me. And part of it is letting go of the patterns of this reality. Let's come to the place first where we can heal or contemplate healing better than we've ever been. And then when we do, we can also acknowledge the parts that are there to remind us that something happened. Because it's both and. Like Judy breaking her leg, there's always, at this point, I think there's still some metal in there. And there's almost an achiness, or changing temperature or something else will change that faster. But is she almost more vibrant and alive than she was before? Yes, there's a possibility for that. And I think that's a piece that we've taken away, is any possibility of that. It's almost that whole yes-no thing. Are you able to do more? And it doesn't mean that you have more capacity through that joint, but there's a part of you that recognizes, I appreciate the fact that I'm still able to move more. So I'm actually appreciating life more and appreciating this body more. And there's a piece that the range of mobility is slightly lower. I can notice when this happens that there's pain. Cool. Overall, it can still be better than it was before. And that's just it. It's like me having gone through suicidal depression. My life, objectively in every measure, is way better than it was before. And I went through something that's supposed to like destroy you. So, how can the two of those things line up? Okay. And are there echoes of depressions that attract that is a little bit more familiar for me than other people? Probably. Just like the asthma. If I had perfect lungs the whole way through, I probably wouldn't have this appreciation for breathing. For breath. Hilarious how things come full circle. I'm just imagining a child who almost dies at birth. I wonder if they're already creating such an appreciation for life, like their soul is that wise. It's like, let's start from the beginning. And there's an edge there. There's definitely an edge there where it's cutting it too close. At least in my own head. Still. So what else during the breath? Really appreciating the practitioners allowing themselves to be and to release. Really appreciating people taking up space, and my fellow facilitators for being able to hold the space so I could keep moving around. Like I really appreciate that no one expected me to stay anywhere for a long period of time, because they recognize that my role is to be everywhere, everything, everywhere, all at once. And then watching them dance in and out together, watching us dance in and out together. Oh, so much fun. So much fun when we dance in and out together. So much fun being a part of this kind of container where I'm not trying to do all the parts, I'm doing my own ceremonial container work. And having the rest of it contained even is a lot of fun. Interesting. I'm getting better and better at not needing to play all the different parts. And in a way, in some point in time, probably I'll get better and better at being able to play no part. And just my state is playing a part. There's a piece there that I enjoy. Like at the last one, it's like, tap me if you really need me, otherwise I'm just going to be there. And probably my being there was serving just as much as what I could have been doing. It's a practice of saying, can I actually drop in, and noticing my own resistance to dropping in. Like that was part of it too. It's like my mind was going. My mind is going. And it's like, thank you, mind. Thank you, mind. Thank you, mind. Even right now, my mind's still going, even though it's super tired, it feels like. Or it's saying to me, you're tired, you're tired, you're tired. So this week I've got a call from Marika this morning, and then forest school for my son, and then going to see our traditional Chinese medicine doctor, and a few other appointments in between. Making sure some bills are paid off because it's near the end of the month. Tomorrow I've got Elena DiMartini. I've got forest school again, and tomorrow's a relatively light day in scheduling right now. Wednesday forest school. I don't know if there's anything else on Wednesday. Thursday is the founders meeting. There's something else we were possibly going to schedule Thursday. Oh yeah, massages possibly. And then Friday was possibly Elizabeth and Ben. And can't remember what else is there or was there. Saturday and Sunday are the breakthrough experience. So getting myself ready for that is going to be important. Getting an environment set up so that I can actually do that is important. So that's going to be something to remember. Where to do that experience Saturday and Sunday. Where is the very best place? My own home, someone else's home, but I want to be able to have access to all my hape and all that other stuff. I think it still is my own home. Yeah. I think it still is having that room and clearing it out and having a kind of multi-layered desk, sitting, standing options, like 3 different options to be able to use. Lots of tissues, lots of stuff around. Yeah. I've got to register for that still too, so that's something I'm going to do today and actually take a little further look. Is there anything else to read? Finish reading the Breakthrough Experience book as well. Yeah. All right, so many things. So many things. And there's no right thing or wrong thing. Got a course that I get to choose from Dr. DiMartini. I got to take a look at that soon and say which one's it going to be. Probably something in terms of building business. And I'll check and I'll ask. Better questions. What are the better questions for Elena? Who am I? Noticing the different layers of the yes, no. Noticing how I want to play a part in bigger events. There's a part of me, I'm going to plant a seed right now of having a breakthrough experience here in the Vancouver area live with some additional modalities around it, making it like a 3-day, and how we would break it up so that there's actually some more movement within it. Movement, breath, experiential processes within it, because I think those things would add to it. So instead of a 2-day, making it a 3-day. What's possible then? What's possible if people loosened up a little bit? What's possible with making it a little bit more spiritual? Yeah, I could totally see that. I could totally see that. How much more fun would that be? How much more fun would that be? The breakthrough experience. Like, this is really experiential. Yeah, it starts with me actually experience the breakthrough experience as it is. So I get to experience the online version, and even that can be shifted to multi-day, right? Could be having breaths in between. I can imagine what it'd be like if we had a breath session to start them off. Or in the middle of the day, just to break things up, shift up the head and the heart, right? Have a couple sessions to move, have someone else be leading and guiding the movement. It's like, all right, let's actually get this energy going a little bit. That's part of what Tony does really well. And he has the ability to encompass all those different parts, but he wants to. And he has teammates to help accentuate that. Thank you for taking a breath and a pause. This neck pain is definitely twinging up a little bit more these days. How do I just notice and honor it? There's a little pain right here underneath the collarbone around the second, third rib. A little bit above sternocleidomastoid. And I set possibilities for private breaths with Lauren and with Mike. Possibilities, just dropping in possibilities. And I love dropping in possibilities. What else is there? So much more. It's funny how it feels really familiar, easy at home to be in those environments and co-facilitate with Judy. That's what I really like. It's fun to contemplate how music can play a different part and how there's others that are experts at it. And there's a lot of appreciation for the playlist that was there and appreciation for my singing and the interplay between the two. I think part of it is I really enjoy the music and I really enjoy being able to change it up on the fly, and that's the beauty of me being in full control of it right now. And I look forward to the day where I'm not in full control of it and not having this be the only way. There'll still be times when it's like, all right, Nick's gonna play out and pull out his tracks and it's gonna be different. It's not gonna be as layered as everything is meticulously done, and we're gonna riff, right? It's remembering that we never have to lose the old way of doing things. It's just, when do we revisit it again? And in the revisiting, what is there to learn? And not holding on to the old ways. This is the way to do it. I think that's part of the reason I got born into this life and this quote unquote lineage, unlineage, because if I had too much lineage, I'd feel really compelled to follow it. And I'm a Chinese boy who feels white inside, who's stepping into indigenous like medicine like roles and recognizing that I'm not any of those things. Watching a big train coming this way. Turn on the noise canceling. So much fun, this life. So much fun. So many choices. It's great to make some defaults. I appreciate that saying, like, and I'll figure out how to word it better. The default is that you're going to be able to fully express, and your neighbors are going to be able to receive that in the perfect way possible. Something to that effect. It's going to accentuate each other's journey. Now that we have that established, see if we can practice it. Noticing something, feeling triggered, feeling scared. Oh, how does it serve me? What's the lesson here? What's the lesson here? What's the lesson here? What's the lesson here? What's the takeaway? What is the lesson? What's the takeaway? Don't mess with Maui when he's on a breakaway. And then the closing up did a really good practice, I feel, of being present with whoever I'm speaking with and just being clear. If someone just needs something quick, you got access to my playlist. Instagram here. And then the deeper ones, whether it was Becky, whether it was Mike, whether it was with the channeling actor, whether it was with, I can't remember who else. But it's just like having a little bit more connection and then having quick thank you, hugs, gratitude with some others. And seeing each other. And then letting it go. And then for me, the follow-up for this, I'm planting the seed for myself, is when people follow up with me post this, is to make that an important follow-up, even if I don't think it is. There was a connection that was made, and at least exploring what their profound part or their profound experience was, is going to serve in some way my highest values. In which case, it's a worthwhile time investment. And then let it go. It doesn't mean I have to make it ongoing, especially if it isn't ongoing work. If they're desiring the friendship, it's like, thank you. I am currently not placing the social side as much because I have some work to do to get this business flowing. And as this business starts flowing, I plan to spend a little bit more time with the social as well. And if you can see how we can mix the two, please let me know. I'm happy to mix the two. I have Judy is both a friend and someone I'm doing business with. And because there's such a trust, I can just say yes to everything because I know that there's part of her mind that's always keeping in mind, how do I make sure Nick receives sustainable fair exchange? Same reason with Brent right now. Same reason with Marika and Matt. They're all in recognition of that. And they're all open to possibility. Okay. Let's reach out to Nicholas and chat with him sooner as well. And a reminder, it doesn't matter how skilled someone is. Who was I talking to about that? Like, they may or may not be the person. It's not a reflection of their skill. Just being able to trust yourself, say, who is it in this moment right now that I want? And on my website, one of the first things to update is a little video about private breath. What it is, how it might work, reaching out and connecting. And eventually having a Calendly for that too. If we're actually paying for Calendly and we've got multiple different options, then I'll pay for that as well. I don't know if that's what's going on right now. So right now, just having standard set fees, eventually contemplating a standard fee plus, so that people know that they're welcome to donate more. We've got really big dreams. And the thing is having the big visions and dreams first. Not first, but that's my work. That's what I can actually control. What is the vision? What is the dream that I have? I'm playing a part in these groups and learning about the other parts. What is it that we want to have, and how do we create it? And part of it is the expansiveness. Like, this is really cool, the unconventional. It actually was really cool. Bringing together different practitioners, and I don't know how we'd make it financially sustainable unless we made it much bigger in a way in terms of the number of people, which is a whole different experience then as well. Or made it much more expensive. And which parts really need to come together, right? How many different practitioners do we really need? What is the base number? Do I want to be the one to start pulling together events like this? Oh. Reminding myself to be with where I'm at. That's part of the reason why I don't have a training program yet, which is part of the quote-unquote natural progression retreat. Part of it right now I'm noticing is I'm partnering with people to play my very best part. And I am enjoying watching and learning from the other parts. But also, as I'm watching and learning, going, what parts do I want to make sure get done? How do I want to get done? How do I want to play? And part of it is like, oh man, seeing the practitioners I really want to play with, like Becky, definitely want to play with her. There's a few others that I would like to play with, but it's not as necessary, so to speak. And it's a great reminder when I'm watching Judy's like, what does she do? And right now, movement is a big part of it. And so that's a reminder for me. Okay, I've been sitting here for a while. Oh, how to actually move too. And in trusting the movement, not trying to, too much. Still talking. And also realizing, do I need to be on camera right now? Do I need to show the whole world my movements or lack thereof? Or do I take a break from recording myself this way and record myself another way? That's probably the better thing. So I'm gonna go do some movement. Actually, for today, just noticing my own range of movement. Noticing this tracking, in this light. I'll probably do some jumping in a second, just to get the blood pumping, do some tapping. Notice how the camera has lost me, and that's okay. Let it play. Whoa. And that's probably my reminder to stop when the mic falls off. Ciao for